Going to make sure this is working. Well, it says I'm offline. Huh. Well. So I should at least be streaming to Twitter and such. So, Oh, yeah, it's working on Twitter. Sweet. Alright, so there is something up with Twitch. So it's like there we go. Okay, it just took it a while. Sweet. Okay. Alright, cool. Ready to go here. So, get my workspace set up. So, I am laying out this track with lots of assets right now. I have been going into the individual assets and like coloring them. So for example, like this piece here, I need to do some stuff with the center of this mushroom flower thing. Right now it's all green and I want it to be other colors. So, you know, I've been doing sort of little detail work like that, and then also like big layout work. So you guys will get a sense of like, I've made this very large asset library for the game, and so here's an interesting little thing. This is called Height Colorizer. It's a cool little plugin in 3ds Max that lets me interpolate between two different colors, and give it a variation of, let's make it forwardy. Let's actually make this a little darker. So yeah, you can see I've got this like little bit of variation now. I don't have to do all this by hand, which is super nice. So I just want to affect these now, and let's make the color a little bit different. The nice thing is that well, colorful is good for this world, and yeah, I've got this kind of like a mushroom looking thing. And I want to get some more geometry in here. I have this interesting way of converting these very complex assets into something that'll actually work for a game, but it actually requires more geometry to make it work, which is very interesting. So that's all one object. And the nice thing is I can keep switching to different cameras to see like what it'll look like at different points along the track. Apparently I can change my Twitch username. I've been thinking about doing that, changing it to Zernworks. People have kind of a hard time with the Gibble part of my name. and my official business name is ZerdWorks, so it does kind of make sense to switch, as long as this isn't like mess something up in the back end. But so I'm gonna bring in some new geometry here. We don't want to bring in any of these other things, just geometry, shapes, groups. Trying to think about how much to decorate the area above the track, sky stuff. The nice thing is I don't have to worry about like units. This all will be handled by Unreal Engine properly. So I can basically do I'm doing a very sloppy form of 3D here because all of these assets are going to be converted into something that works for Unreal Engine. I have a very neat technique for getting these high poly assets into Max. It's going to require some custom code, but I think it is definitely worth the investment for this type of visual. I'd appreciate knowing in chat anything about audio. I was having kind of a hard time with the audio setup this time because it seems like the audio is very, very quiet, and I've been going around and trying to So what I really need to do is set up a hotkey for cycling through these cameras. I've never had to cycle through multiple cameras like this, but it's definitely something I need to do now. I'm wondering if I can just sniff out where to do that. Look, active camera. Ooh, there's a script and script spot for a called Camera Switcher. It looks like I can. I don't see anything about cycling though. Boy, that script is from 2006. I actually have a script that I have used that has worked from the 90s. Okay, I see. So, I think I can just quickly run this. See if that does anything. Aha! Alright. This is what I want. Let's put it down here. And we'll give it an image button of some kind. Ideally, like a camera icon of some kind. I wanted to just like make my own icons for a long time. That's just like cycling through stuff. I'm not a big fan of this UI. Oh, what the heck. I'll just make it a bee teapot. Be lazy here. There we go. Alright. No main cameras found. You create or add main. Oh, I can't do it with my own view. I'll monkey around with this another time. I'm sure it works. So yeah, this thing is going to be a little bit different looking when it's actually in the game. This is somewhat of like a placeholder, but I like the way it kind of curves around the track, kind of curves with the track. Yeah, something like that. It's a nice splashy thing to put right at the starting line, well, the finish line, I guess. But right when you're starting the race, it's I kind of like this asset as a thing for that. And then this entity here is my next challenge. I want this to wrap. Although, interestingly enough, I'm not going to put colliders on some of these. They're instead going to be ethereal. I want players to be able to just kind of like drive through parts of them. There we go. This is where I wanted it. Yeah, something like that. I want it to look like it's kind of going up the slope. Perfect. Let's see what 5 looks like. Yeah. They might not actually be seeing it that much. 6. So yeah, please let me know if there's any issues with sound. I'm not going for a lot of pure blue and more of the greens for this, so I'm going to change this color to something that's a little more aqua. Yeah, it's more of what I want. So this is part of an endeavor that I'm calling Crappy Vertical Slice. I'm trying to make it's sort of like interactive concept art. It's a quick and dirty version of what it would feel like to play this game, and it'll be a way to sniff out, performance issues and stuff like that. Wonder if I should tessellate this. Give it a little bit more geometry. So yeah, right now yeah, that's not going to show up very well. Yep, I'm going to have to resort to tessellation, which will take a little bit of time, but not too bad. No tension. Let's give it 2 iterations, even though it will take a little while. That should be better. Yeah. something. So what I want to do now is I want to work on the bridge. As I started making this bridge, it's like a woven basket. Like it's pretty neat looking. But I want to give it a little more variation. It also needs to be sized correctly and all that. I'm gonna save a copy here. It's so nice not having to worry as much about scale. I can just go in and go crazy. But I definitely need to deal with this whole business. How cool as it is, it does not work as a tunnel for obvious reasons. So I'm going to go into polygon mode here. So unfortunately when the polygons are this dense, selecting is tricky. I think I'm just going to do it with the lasso. I suppose I could have just done a volume select and put in, like, you know, a cylinder to eliminate these extra polys, but this is really just like a quick and dirty kind of thing. Actually, I found that doing things by hand can, the little irregularities can actually give it this like human touch, this little bit of life to it that that actually really adds to it. So it's been hard to learn to let go sometimes of like mathematical perfection, but so I just attached it rather than I'm looking for like some kind of a next camera kind of option. Maybe this one. Now let's play the fun game of finding finding a shortcut that has not been used. Okay, so this is a little faster, I guess, because it shows all of them. Yeah, that's good. Sweet. I guess I didn't really need a third-party script for that. So I just attached that. So Nona Andrew on YouTube just said VOR.R. I don't know what that means. Can you explain what that means? This is gonna be so cool to go inside of. It's gonna be very trippy. Can you imagine racing through this? Yeah, that's gonna be cool. But I am going to FFD cylinder this thing. It's being super laggy. I was expecting... Actually, you know what? The easier way to do this is to actually rotate the object, FFD it there, convert to editable poly, and then now, there we go. So I want my height points to be like 6 or 7. There we go. So I think that this would make it interesting thing to bubble out. Now I can just rotate the entire thing. Normally I don't get a lot with FFD being slow, but this is kind of a lot. So yeah, this is kind of the experience I want. I want to feel kind of like a two-chambered dome a little bit. Maybe not quite that dramatic. So I'm definitely going to make a copy of this thing so that yep, that's a lot of polys. 303,000. This is not something you'd want to bring into a game as is, but I have some tricks. about the size I want. Yeah. Just about. Hello, Kimmy. It's a pretty quiet stream here. I've been testing different days to see like what days I should make my regular stream, and I'm thinking that maybe Thursday evening should not be one of those times. But at least getting work done. If you're interested, this original shape actually is derived from a fractal. It's many different slices of one. You can kind of see it in a little bit. Yeah, this app is 3ds Max. It is my main driver. Kind of like it does what it's kind of an everything app. It does like modeling, texturing, rendering, animating, UV texturing, everything. At least if you get the right plugins, it does. I've been using it for a few years now, and it is very good at stuff that is my style because it's very good at handling complex scenes. I'm pretty sure Blender would have probably crashed by now. Maybe not. This scene is actually not too bad compared to some of what I work in, or some of what I worked with. I mean. But yeah, it's also been customized a lot. If you were to open up default 3ds Max, it would not have quite this many buttons on it. So yeah, it's a lot. And getting this stuff into a game engine is going to be interesting. I have definitely some tricks in mind for that. But it's still going to be a challenge. I have wanted to make a game like this for a while now, and I just didn't think it was possible, but I decided to go for it now. Yeah, there's a crazy number of buttons in 3ds Max, to refer to your comment about buttons and windows. Like, these are like all the different functions. And that's just within like the main UI category. There are then other categories. So yeah, there's a lot. I certainly have not used every single feature that the software offers, but I've used a good number of them. It's a little bit legacy looking. It's not. It's actually older than I am, if you count like the original version of it. I find that kind of funny. I've been trying to move some of my modeling stuff for this game. So the fractally things were sort of made in 3ds Max. Some of them, yes. There's something called MCG, which is sort of like this visual scripting language in Max. And the thing is, though, that as far as I know, you can't do any Vandalbulb like directly in Max. Max is good though for handling imported objects. Oh no! I just realized I just messed up on my head. But oh, hi audio. Guess again. Nice to see you. Yeah, a lot of people started on Max. It was kind of the industry standard when I first heard of it, back in like late. It was around. I started messing around in it in like 2011, but I didn't start using it more seriously until a few years later. I'm gonna do some coloring stuff because I realized that I have yeah, 3ds Max, I can't really recommend it to new people who want to do basic stuff in 3D. It's very extendable. In fact, like, you know, if you want to do unusual stuff, it's not a bad way to go. If you want to do more like a more standard pipeline for like indie games, then like Blender is a better way to go. Pre-Max 94. Oh, middle school. Wow, that's pretty cool. That you were doing 3D in middle school. I didn't even know what 3D was in middle school. I didn't have a lot of computer exposure at all until like later in my life. I played in the woods as a kid. I'm going with this kind of fall colors plus teal look for this level. That's kind of what it's shaping up to be. It's kind of a retro 70s kind of look. Yeah, Blender is like, it's quick. It's you know, the UI is actually good now. I tend to recommend, people ask me what app should I start with, and I tend to recommend Blender. The thing is I really can't use Blender for the types of, certainly, illustration work that I do. It would crash. I do not do normal workflows with 3D. I tend to abuse my hardware and software. So, and Max is a lot better for that. Mods for FPS. Yeah, 3ds Max seems to be used a lot by the modern community. I know, like, SFM people, if you ever see, like, the crazy SFM videos, they tend to be done in Max. It's favored by the ArcViz community. That seems to be, like, where they're really putting a lot of their new efforts, new features. Oh yeah, the Blender community is great. The thing I found, well, what I liked about learning, like, you know, I taught myself 3ds Max, and what I liked about it at the time, and this is, you know, a few years ago, was that, like, every single possible problem someone could have had has been asked already at some point in the past 20 years. And so, at least compared to Blender back then, I was often able to Google for stuff, because, like, so many people used it. Yeah, this head is making an appearance from one of my other illustrations. I'm a big fan of the head. I don't have a name for him, but so yeah, I have some. This is going to be a really interesting hybrid object in Unreal. It's a bit high poly right now, but I have some tricks, as said before, that should get some custom code involved. to make this actually work in Unreal without too much extra faff, because I have not hired a 3D artist to do all my textures for me. I'm actually trying to get around having to do texturing. Oh, that's funny. I've been making mods for Doom 2, and it's been weird to look up stuff and find questions answered back in 1925. Yeah, I was just saying earlier before you came on that, like, I've used Mac scripts that were made in, like, 1996 that still work. Yeah, I hope that, you know, the Autodesk, like, keeps up with it, and, I mean, it's still used by a lot of people. It's not going to go anywhere. I don't think it has any chance of dying anytime soon. But it does seem like games development is, they're losing ground to other apps, specifically games. There's a ton of, like, ArcViz stuff. What just happened? My cursor is doing something like it's trying to... Well, I am going to save because that was scary. Yeah, not all the old scripts work, but like a lot of them. But yeah, it's kind of neat. Oh yeah, I had these little spheres that were supposed to be here, and they are gone. But you know what? This is what I'm calling crappy vertical slice right now. A lot of my custom stuff I've done in Max has to do with wire color. The one thing that this software is better at than any other software I've tried is lots of unique objects in one scene. And I have this very modular kind of Lego approach, and so I have some very nifty, like, custom scripts that plug into materials that allow me to do things like inherit the wire color, put it into a material, and then I can do stuff with it. I can adjust, I'm going to change the relative contrast between all the different wire color objects here, and so that's a fun thing. It's definitely a big part of my workflow. Thing is that when you're working in a game engine, the amount of just overhead that you have to deal with, you have lots of tiny unique objects, plus the performance problems. I have to get kind of clever about it. About how I'm getting these things into games, but that's part of what this is for. This is a test. It's a technical test as much as it is an artistic test. I might bring in some, like, artificial foliage. I could even do some procedural modeling of it, of this cool, like, tree. So yeah, so Kemi the Kitty asks, what's a wire color? Wire color is literally the color of each object. It's the thing that I've been doing right now, is changing the wire colors. So like this here, this is technically wire color. Oh wow, my script I did just messed with this object too. It's probably for the best. I didn't really like those colors anyway. I'm gonna tessellate this bad boy. But yeah, wire color is literally just the object color in the software. It tends to be the default color if you set no material at all to it. If I were to set no material at all to this and render it, will render as the wire color. Let's set this to V-Ray. I like never use Art Renderer. I wonder if rendering might mess with my stream. So, this is what it actually looks like. You can see some weirdness here with the polygons. That will be eradicated. It's just not a priority right now. So yeah, I like using VRay. It's fast, it's reliable. You can do some fancy stuff with it. Okay, something like that. So this, yeah, I love the max modifier stack. It is so nice for how I work, and it's so compact. I know that Blender has like the equivalent of the modifier stack, but it's the way it's presented is very spread out. It's not space efficient. I love being able to just like drag the modifier stack like this and just get like a lot of space. It's I've been learning Houdini. Oh yeah, I absolutely use the plugin called Radial Symmetry. I actually have 2 Radial Symmetry plugins. This one, and they work on different axes, so very quickly if I want to have it like, you know, a wheel perpendicular to the ground, I've got one. I love the auto stitching. It does unfortunately do some weirdness where each segment is not perfect, which means that if I auto unwrap the shape, the auto unwrapper does not stack the islands properly, so it's not the perfect plugin for me, but I have not found anything that does that better. But yeah, yep, Marius Salag, he did one Radial Symmetry. There's another person who put a different one up on CG Trader recently. That is the vertical one, and that is definitely one of my main big tools in my arsenal. Yeah, Radial Symmetry is such a brain hack. Oh my gosh, like it just like yeah, anything you put in it is like anything you put in it looks like awesome. At least to me, I'm such a sucker for it. There are definitely some annoyances with both Radial Symmetry plugins. For example, like I'll show one real quick. So I could go into this one, so make radial count like 5 or something. So it does this, and then you can have it mirror, which is cool. So like, let's say I make something like that. So, you know, that's pretty nifty. Yeah, I actually like that. But here's the problem, is that then once you get out of it, the pivot point is not in the center of where this radial thing is. And like, you know, I can go to auto pivot, and you'll notice that when I auto center pivot, it still doesn't hit the center of the symmetry cutter. And this is one of the reasons that I'm actually moving to Houdini for doing radial symmetry. Seriously, like, oh, I haven't tried animating with it yet. Actually, I've animated with it, sort of. But I'd used IFL files and I was animating the texture rather than animating the radial symmetry directly. Because that would be cool. But yeah, it's so annoying because I then have to like manually change the pivot. So I'm doing that right now. Every single time. And I have messaged I think I've messaged both developers about this, and they're like, it's like kind of too hard to do. It was sort of the gist I got. It's just an annoyance, but Houdini doesn't care, from what I've been able to tell. Anyways, back to, but yeah, 3ds Max Script is pretty powerful. I've been able to, like, stack this stuff, using scripting, so I can bring in a bunch of different shapes and reconstruct stuff. Reset trans modifier or something to the center of pivot. Maybe. I actually haven't tried that modifier. Yeah, you have me curious now. See, it's fine when I'm in the radial slicer. Like, that's where this, but the thing is that you'll notice I had to move this around to get what I wanted. And so my guess is that reset transform would put this radial slicer gimbal or like, widget back to where it initially was, so it still wouldn't be right. Oh, you said reset trans. You mean reset X-form, like an X-form, like, the reset X-form utility. Here's the problem with that. I have tried that. So I even have it here. So let me get out of group here. I can use the proper utility, reset selected. I'll even collapse the modifier stack. So in theory, this should be all good to go, except you'll notice that when I center the pivot, it's still not centered where the slicer was. And that's because of just geometry. What Max is doing is it's drawing a bounding box around this. And if it were like a square or something, it would work. But because it's a triangle, it's finding the center of that bounding box, is my understanding. And so, yeah, I've monkeyed around with it, and I've kind of learned sometimes that, like, I can tend to fall into the programmer trap of, like, trying to save 30 seconds here and there by making some, like, special tool or something. And while it's true that saving time here and there is good for, like, staying in a flow state, sometimes the amount, if I spend 5 hours trying to make some kind of technical workaround for this, the chances are it's going to take years for me to be doing this, for me to break even with the time savings of that tool. So I found that sometimes it's good to satisfy and just deal with it, and then go on Twitch and complain to other people about it to vent. I mean, my hope is that as I slowly learn Houdini, I'll be able to have a lot more control over the tool, and just, like, rather than relying on people who make plugins, it's like I'm the one who's making the plugin. Like, that would be freaking awesome. And that is, that seems to be within doability, even though it may take a while to get there. So, snap to vert. Yeah, if there is a vertice there. I just got rid of it. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes like often I'll use it and there's like a hole in the inside. Though I could see how, like, yeah, snap to vert in this case would make sense. So, yeah, that's valid. I don't use the snapping tools as much as I could. For one thing, it's like the stuff I'm doing doesn't require extreme precision. And what I was saying earlier before you came on is that sometimes doing things by hand is better, because it gives it this extra sense of life. Like, the scenes have these small irregularities where, something was stacked, or something was, I selected something and I didn't cover, I didn't do, just those little irregularities, I guess, can kind of breathe life into it. in a way that I like. So, so yeah, right now I'm getting a sense of what it's like, you know, being in the tunnel. Tunnel needs to be adjusted a little bit, but I could just throw a quick FFD box on it, which I freaking love this tool in Max. I love it because it's fast. Every 3D software has one of these, but I've had, like, this is a very dense mesh, so it'll be a little bit laggy, but like, at least, you know, it does the job. I like being able to easily like specify how many points I want in the cage, and then because it's the modifier stack, I can just keep making multiple FFDs, which often works better than one. And that's like, when working with multiple objects, I found that that's a really good way to go. Thanks, yeah. It's the trippy tunnel. So yeah, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pull this back a bit so that the railing comes through, because what's going to happen is that I'm going to need to make a custom collider for this. And this is one of the other reasons I love the modifier stack, is that right now this thing is all editable, and I can make a low poly version of this to act as a collision. But if I want to get really lazy, I'll just make it so that players can't collide with this at all, and then I don't need any collider. So instead, we have these barriers here. It's kind of cheap, but for the time being, like, I'm gonna pull whatever I can here. Yeah, now we're outside the tunnel. Let me go back into the tunnel here. So psychologically, I want to have this thing where, wait a minute, we're camera 7, camera 8, we're coming out of the tunnel, and then I want it to be like camera 9, boom, wide open space. Right now, having this that close to the to this does kind of mess with the idea of the wide open space a little bit. I'm wondering if I could put it like over here somewhere. Yeah, maybe something like this. Because yeah, I kind of like the idea of letting it breathe a little bit. People just left a corridor, and I want them to feel this kind of, like, just emotionally, this contrast of experience. I am gonna get going pretty soon. I'm hungry. I'm gonna have some dinner. But it was really nice being able to stream again. This is kind of a boring area right now. I want to have this kind of a garden of these like fractal type shapes in here that you can actually drive through, and it disrupts them. Like pieces go flying in the air, and I've been working on this way to do that. And it also slows you down. So the idea is you want to keep on the light part of the road when you can. Yep. And then I can go into perspective mode and look around and see. This is what I really like about having cars here. So we can see the secret shortcut. This is right here, and I can already tell that this is going to be a problem, and I need to rework it because this is way too sharp a turn. People are going to turn, and they're going to smack into this, and then they're going to have to like awkwardly back up and try to go into here. And it's so narrow too. Like, this is such a troll shortcut. You'd have to race like perfectly to get to it properly. And so I've thought about this. I could either widen the shortcut or... Oh wait, no, it's not a troll shortcut. Okay, no, I'm silly. It's actually fine because this is the entrance to the shortcut. Right here. And so it's been a little while since I've done the like overall layout of this. But yeah, they're gonna have to race pretty darn well to get through here. I'm probably going to have to widen this. Is my guess. Having played a lot of racing games, it's so satisfying being able to just like change a track. Like I don't know. It's definitely there's definitely a power trip to it. Yeah, you're right, Cammy. Shortcuts that take longer are always funny. It's true. There's kind of a push your luck aspect to it. Okay, so now our shortcut's a little bit like... It's now a little bit wider. Not too bad. Now, it's one of those things, so it's like, the mechanics of the game are like you're painting the track, right? So it's like... in theory, this track is only wide enough for like one player's paint. And so what's going to happen is that like if someone's painted and they see like a bunch of yellow there, they'll go, oh gosh, Jim just painted the shortcut. So then they are met with a decision. They can take the shortcut too and not boost, and paint over Jim's color. And if they do that, then they're preventing Jim from being able to boost next time. But they're also not boosting that time. So it's sort of like, I want it to be this kind of like space of contention where people are vying for it. I think that's funny. So, yeah. But yeah. I'm gonna have this little garden of, they're almost like little plants of like different fractal objects. Oh, Cammy, check this out. I'm gonna show you something cool. Where is it? Here. This is all painted with vertex color, so you don't have to worry about, well, it's in the shadow now, so it's a little hard to see. But yeah, check that out. No UV maps needed. The problem is that these are expensive for the game engine because the vertices are holding the color. And so I have to use these sparingly, but they're so freaking cool. I should probably make this huge and put it somewhere where people can see a little better. Where else might I put this? Well, if I put it here, nobody's going to see it because they'll be in the tunnel. How many verts is this? Good question. It's 170,000 vertices, which is like a modern day game character is around, is like half that, and even that's like on the upper end. Now granted, I could, if I had a UV map on this thing, I could do a normal bake. But let me show you something scary here. So like game characters are able to get away with looking amazing and having that few polygons because of normal mapping, but that's because they're unwrapped. This does not have an unwrap, so I do have a high poly version of it. But like, here's the problem. So I have a very nifty 3ds Max plugin called Unrella, and it normally does a pretty good job if you want a quick and dirty like UV. So let's make this organic. You will notice I saved this before opening this because it has a small chance of crashing. And this may have been a mistake. Kimmy the Kitty asks, how do UV maps? So yeah, basically imagine the model is like an orange, and you were to unpeel the orange, and you were to mathematically flatten out the peels perfectly. And that way you can go into Photoshop and color the peels however you want. The UV mapping is like determining where do you put the seams of the orange, where do you decide to unpeel it. So when you UV unwrap, there's a few different ways to do it. Oh boy, this was a mistake. I was trying to demonstrate just how much of a mistake it was, but it's still going. This is not supposed to take this long. Oops. Welp. Guess I'll close other apps while I do this. But yeah, I recommend looking up. Blender has decent UV tools from what I've been able to tell. So yeah, what I wanted to demonstrate, just YouTube it. It typically is involved with like, oh man. So yeah, it's just kind of going to keep doing this unless I want to exit out. But honestly, I need to get dinner, so I think I'm just gonna stop streaming on this awkward note. Maybe I'll you know what? I'll post the result of this unwrap in the Discord group so you can see. My friend and I refer to them as Eldritch UVs because they look so crazy. When you UV map something, you want to have as few islands as possible, and this is going to have like probably hundreds of islands, and they look scary. They look maddening, and so they are Eldritch UVs. So yeah, I will post that in the Discord group. The link is right at the bottom of the stream for anybody who is also has a morbid fascination with terrible UVs. Yeah, thanks for coming in here, Cammy. It was nice having you. Yeah, no problem. I love streaming. I will do it more. Alright, bye everyone.